Hello, and welcome back to I Can't Eat Shit podcast. I'm your host, actress, comedian Shondalia White. And yes, people, I can't eat shit, and of course the shit is annoying. Am I a doctor? No, of course not. I'm just a woman. When you take her out to eat, she can't eat anything on the menu 90% of the time. So if you're like me and you can't eat shit, this podcast is for you. If you're getting a little bit older and your gut is like, yeah, you can't eat shit either, but you keep on doing it, this podcast is for you too. And if you're just interested in me and my health and wellness journey and want to be a little bit nosy, I love it because you're a real supporter. This podcast is for you too, so stay tuned. I started I Can't Eat Shit podcast because I was secretly ill for many years. I learned a lot, and now I'm healed and I'm ready to talk about it. This episode is a continuation of your fibroids, tumors, and your diet with herbs. So let's get into it. This is part 2 of my fibroids, tumors, and your diet episode, which is episode 9. Per your request of wanting me to elaborate a little bit more on my journey with these fibroids, tumors, and my diet. And I thought about how I wanted to approach this episode. And what I'll do is talk about my pre-op, my operation, my post-op, and how I used Eastern medicine to assist in my healing journey and how I maintain my healthy and healed lifestyle now. If you haven't seen episode 9, I would suggest you go check it out either before or after this episode. It's fine if you watch it after. It's no worries. My pre-op experience was me focusing on finding the appropriate doctor that specialized in fibroids and removing them. And it was not an easy thing. If you live in Los Angeles, you know that finding a good doctor is very hard. One of the reasons for that is because a lot of the doctors here come here to get recognition. So they only care about the money and the exposure. They could care less about you as a patient. And when you do find those people, they are jam-packed and they're usually older because they've been doing it forever. They're teaching other people how to do these things. And it's just very difficult. So when I went first to find a doctor, I won't say where, but I had an appointment and they made it as if it was fine for me to have a non-invasive procedure to get rid of my fibroids. If you aren't familiar with fibroid surgeries, usually it's a myomectomy. You can check that out. Or it's a laparoscopic myomectomy. The laparoscopic myomectomy is something that's more non-invasive. And I wanted that because I'm an actor and I care about my appearance. So that was the focus. And also, I didn't want the long recovery times of just a regular surgery. So when I went in, they said that I could do that. When I went to the next appointment, all of a sudden everything changes. And now my only options are not even myomectomies. It's like, oh, you got to get a C-section or a full-blown hysterectomy. Of course I freaked out. Like, what are you talking about? Where did that come from? You just said I could do, and it's money. They just want the easiest way to make the money. It's a very frustrating thing. And I was lucky that one of my friends actually went through the same thing with the same hospital. And she was like, you know what? Check out my doctor, get a second opinion, and he'll let you know if you can actually have a non-invasive procedure. Thankfully, her doctor did tell me that I qualified for a non-invasive procedure, and I was able to do that. So after being approved for a laparoscopic myomectomy, which is the non-invasive procedure, it pretty much is they cut little small incisions into my stomach. They use instruments to go in and they do the procedure. And they either can pull them out, depending on how small they are, through the incisions, I believe, or they will put it on a string and pull them out below as if you're giving birth to these masses. So that was the way it happened for me. It was very straightforward and it was a successful procedure. what you'll notice if you have fibroids, if you aren't sure if you have fibroids, definitely go to your OBGYN or your general prac doctor and see if you have them, so they can do an ultrasound and just check you out. But also, you'll kind of know if you have fibroids, if something is going on. And one of the things is you will look as if you're pregnant, and people will think you're pregnant and you're not. You'll have heavy periods where you're bleeding through everything. And I'm talking about none of the sanitary items will help. It's like you're fully bleeding heavy. That's a heavy bleed. And you also will have pain during your periods. It completely changes in the post-operation. Post-operation, what you can expect is your stomach will go down. You shouldn't look pregnant anymore. You won't have heavy periods anymore. Thank goodness you'll go back to normal. And you also shouldn't have that pain once you're fully healed as well. You will, however, have scar tissue internally. And I had a lot of scar tissue because I had 10 fibroids. I got rid of about 10 pounds. So everybody's body is different, but I definitely had a lot of scar tissue. And this scar tissue began to later give me issues because at the time, I didn't have the proper diet. I wasn't, of course, healed with my gut health stuff that I talk about here in the podcast. And so I was experiencing a lot at one time. There was a lot of pains going on, and I needed something that could break it up and just make my post-op experience enjoyable. So, of course, I did something about it. So I got sick of the shits, and I decided to take matters into my own hands and do something about just my body feeling so stagnant. My digestion was bad at that time. I had a lot of scar tissue and I just needed some movement. So I went to a spa. I was checking out different spas, and little did I know the spa that I would find specialized in a method that would change my life. And that method was Nei Tsang. That's CNT. It's a Chinese holistic massage therapy method for the abdomen that it breaks up the scar tissue and helps with your digestion. And it does a lot more than that. But that's why I went. And let me tell you, changed my life. It was insane. When I met the practitioner, they had a practitioner that comes in and does this, healer. And when I met her, the first thing she says to me is she touches my stomach and she goes, "Okay, this is what I want you to do. I need you to change the diet." She made me change my diet. She's the main reason that I got my digestion fully on track. And I'm so grateful to her. But basically what she had me doing before I get into the massage, what she had me do for breakfast was start with just fruit. And this is not sugary fruits like grapes and stuff like that. It was like blueberries, strawberries, kiwi, stuff, those types of fruits that would help me digest food from the night before or maybe a couple days before because of the enzymes that are in it. It's like natural enzymes. Maybe 30 minutes to an hour later, have a protein-enriched breakfast. Now, that protein-enriched breakfast may include something like eggs, maybe chicken, and water-based vegetables like zucchini or something along those lines. Then for lunch, if I have a protein, I would do that with a water-based vegetable and no starch. And then for dinner, I would do the same thing. Or if I want to flip it and have a starch, then I would just eat that with veggies, those water-based veggies. And it's important about the water-based veggies, especially when you're dealing with digestion issues, because it really helped me push and get a nice flow into my digestion to help everything pass through and continue healing. So I'm so grateful to her for putting me on a plan and introducing me to this simple method of changing my diet. The Nei Tsang massage is It's not a like, ooh, it feels so good massage. It's intense. And it can be very, very painful, but it works. And it broke up all of that scar tissue and really helped my digestion. My scar tissue was so backed up and like clunked up that it was actually affecting and sticking to other organs and stuff like that. So I needed a lot done. And like I said, I had like 10 fibroids. So I really needed a lot done with my lower region. And it was just beautiful. If you want to know more about how my journey began and you're just now tuning in to my podcast, please go ahead and check out episode 1, how it all started. This is an intro to my healing journey and how I got into I can't eat shit. And it'll really help you understand what I'm talking about right now to this point. I've had a lot of things happen. So back to the methods. The next thing that my healer taught me is that I should have an acupuncturist. And she's been telling me this for a while, but I didn't listen, of course, because I don't be listening all the time. And it's a lot of money to just have all these different doctors. But eventually, I started having pains in my abdominal a couple weeks before my period, and they were so painful that I agreed to go and, again, changed my life. It's not just the needle stuff with acupuncture. It is actually, for me, the Chinese herbs. And it has become a normal part of my daily diet because it worked so fast. When I first started taking the Chinese herbs, it just like the pain was gone. It flipped me out. I was just like, what? And so what they do, depending on what's going on with you, it helps shrink any types of growths you have going on. It helps stop pain. And they honestly can prescribe anything. You just ask them or tell them what you got going on. I think each acupuncturist kind of specializes in different stuff, but mine specializes in what I needed, and I was good to go, and it worked. So if you are struggling, please be sure to try this stuff out. Try that new method of diet. Try out maybe the Nei Tsang. Try out the acupuncture. And if you're not really a needle person, just do the herbs, but still go to the acupuncturist to get those Chinese herbs. My body responds very well to Eastern medicine. It's something I learned a while ago with dealing with other things. So if you are having a tough time with Western medicine, or you feel like it's just not, you just don't know what else to do, try out the Eastern medicine methods and see if it works for you. And I wish you so much luck. And I know what you're thinking. Did she actually get to see those fibroids? Yes, I did. Of course, I asked for a picture. Happy Halloween. I do stuff like that. This segment is called There's Another Way to Do That, where I teach you how to modify recipes based on my restrictions. Listen, I've been craving sandwiches, and I haven't had sandwiches in a very long time because the gluten-free bakery that I used to go to, they closed down. And I couldn't find an over-the-counter bread that actually was delicious and had ingredients that I could digest. But guess who found that bread? I did. So I made a baked grilled chicken sandwich with avocado this month, and it is delicious. Check out the full cooking segment on YouTube or my TikTok, and I'm going to link you in the description, or it'll pop up above. And just remember, all of my recipes are gluten-free, dairy-free, but I do use a little egg occasionally. There are no harsh oils, and it's seasoned, but it's not spicy. Check it out. Let me know how you love it. I know you will. Enjoy. My hope is that my experience with fibroids, tumors, and the diet will help you as you enter your healing journey or continue on this healing journey. If you have any additional questions, feel free to ask in the comments because somebody else has them. And I'll do my best to answer them or at least guide you in the right direction. And remember, take care of your body so it can take care of you, or you're going to be dealing with a lot of shit. This has been I Can't Eat Shit Podcast. Thank you so much for watching and listening. I truly appreciate you all. If you like what you saw and or heard today, go ahead and like, share, subscribe I Can't Eat Shit Podcast on YouTube or wherever you stream your podcast. If you're watching me, you get bonus material, which is, there's another way to do that, my cooking segment, where I teach you how to modify recipes based on my restrictions. They're oh so good, so make sure you check that out in the watch playlist on YouTube. And you can also follow me on Instagram at I Can't Eat Shit Podcast or at Shondalia White. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. I Can't Eat Shit! I Can't Eat Shit Podcast is not a replacement for a medical professional. If you need help, seek out a trained medical professional, nutritionist, or therapist to help you with your specific needs.